Hi there. I don't know where you are from, but here in the UK, drought is not normally the thing to worry about. Lack of sunlight? Yes. Too much grey? Yes. Too much rain? Definitely. So today we're going to be looking at drought tolerance and what I'm doing at the allotment to help with this. So here you can see all my squashes are growing up some trellising. Now normally you wouldn't plant these on the side where the sun comes. For us it's the south. But this year I have. So it's trying to protect the beans and the soil behind so that the sun-loving plants get a lot of it whilst trying to keep moisture in the soil. And if I look at the soil, although extremely dry on the surface, it's almost like dust. If I dig down, there is some moisture down here. I can feel it getting cooler. Although not enough for today, I must water those. Here's the courgettes. Now each courgette has got its own bottle with a stick. So the bottle is forced in next to the plant when I actually plant it. And then the stick is there to hold it in place so the wind doesn't take it away when the plant is small. Now this is definitely working. I do this every year actually, but this year it's been extremely important. It's nice and damp down here, although it won't stick to my fingers. It's not wet, but then again, I haven't been here for about 3 or 4 days, so that's pretty good. And all you do is once the bottle's secure, fill it up with water and let it soak to the roots of the plant. You're not getting any runoff. Everything's going to the plant, and the slower it can soak, the better. This one took 2 minutes and 30 seconds to empty. I just sped it up for you because you don't want to be sat here for that long. You can see it's working well on the beans too. These are flowering nicely and we are getting beans to harvest, which means they're not starved of water either, because often when they're starved of water they will drop their flowers. But as I say, we're getting flowers and beans. Fantastic. Here's my beetroot. I multi-sow my beetroot, but the bonus in that is that if we go down, you can see the beetroots pushing each other apart there, but you can also feel and see that the soil, even though I haven't been here for a few days and it's been roasting, it's actually cool to the touch and there is moisture there. This soil is darker. I don't know whether you can see that on camera. Also, to check in depth though, I'm going to ram my finger in. And there we go. The soil's even sticking to my finger there, so it's definitely wet down there. I could also feel it. So I'm going to flip this bed and I'll show you what I did to get it ready for the drought. Now, at the moment, I'm harvesting out of it the previous crop. Clearly these are potatoes. But yesterday, I harvested half of the bed on the right hand side of the screen, and you can see how much drier that is compared to the side that I'm harvesting now. There is some moisture, but not a great deal. So the idea is, when we flip it, we're going to condition it so that hopefully it will hold more moisture. I'm not too unhappy with the amount of potatoes we got here. They're not at a fabulous size, but they'll do. Over 3 kilograms worth in just this half. And yesterday it was about 2.5 kilos. So, decent amount, but we need to get the bed flipped so that we can actually harvest some more food from this area this year. So we'll just get it all levelled out and pick all the potatoes up. I have no doubt that I have missed a potato. Do you always miss a potato somewhere and it comes up as a donor potato in the following year? So, here's the bottles. These are just pop bottles or juice bottles that I've cut the bottom off. Then I'm using the spout end, and I'm going to use a stick as well to hold it in place so it doesn't blow away. But if you twist it and sort of ram it in a bit, it works better. So here's number 2. I'm going to space them along the bed I'm not going to worry about individual plants like I did the courgette, because after all I'm going to be planting beans here, and they don't need to be sorted out per plant. Just spreading them across the bed will make sure that enough goes to the roots. I'm also making myself a bit of a trellis here, so I just pop those last few sticks in there and get the support top cane all tied in. And then when I've done that, I'll get some more bottles along the side where I'm at now. And there we go, all sorted. So being as it has been so dry, I'm going to get this watered so that it will settle, because obviously I've just irritated all the soil from getting the potatoes out, and the water will help it take itself back together. But also we saw that it was quite dry, so there's no moisture to lock in at the moment really. I mean, there was a bit, but not a good amount. So I'm going to get a couple of cans in there, and you can see it soaking in nicely, just so that we've got a good reservoir to be starting off with. I mean, we'll add that reservoir in a minute, but let's get the middle bit sorted out. You'll see why in a second. So here's my extra piece that I did not do over the other side where the zucchinis or courgettes were and the beans. I'm adding an extra layer of cardboard. Now what I'm doing with this is, while the plants are small, we're going to suffer from a lot of evaporation here, so I'm trying to slow it down. So I've put a couple of layers down there. Now I'm adding to our reservoir. I'm just filling up those bottles just so that they can soak in ready, and I'll come back tomorrow and we'll see how it's got on and whether any of the moisture has been retained in the soil, and then I'll get the plants planted within it. Just topping them off there. Doesn't matter if you miss the bottle, by the way. Oh, and the other advantage to using the bottles is you're not giving water to the weeds, which helps. Now, why am I showing you flowers here? Well, I'm not pulling out plants that grow at the side of the beds, because they will also shade when the sun is at a particular position. I'm also showing you here that I've got, which is planting your plant pot. So when you plant the plant pot at the same time, and they will also act a bit like the bottles do. Another way of keeping your plants hydrated, such as in the greenhouse where I have no beds to plant them into, they're in pots, and you can see that they're all nice and healthy, so it is actually working, is twofold. What I've got in here is I've got trays, and they're quite deep trays, and they will hold all of the water that my plants need while I'm not here, because especially at the allotment I find that they use it up. You can see the one at the back, it's quite empty. I'll fill that up in a minute. But it's been about 4 days since I've been, so it's obviously keeping them well. I also have a watering system. It's a drip feed, so that's sort of emergencies only really. It doesn't give a great deal of water, and here's the timer that I set, and I've got it on the longest setting, I believe. So if anybody else has got this one and they're going, no, it's not the longest setting, please tell me. But I think it's the longest setting. And the water is all harvested actually from the roof of the greenhouse. So it's just rainwater being fed into the tomatoes. Okay, so here we are back at our bed that we've been flipping. If I dig down, I can see, I don't know whether you can see on camera, that's a deeper colour, and it's definitely still got moisture in there. And under the cardboard, even more so, so that is working. Now I did lose footage of me actually planting the plants. I think my camera actually got, ironically, too hot and failed. It went all screen all fuzzy and funny. So here you can see on the left I've planted beans, and on the right I've planted peas. So I've got Carlin peas, and we've got something Bianco, Coco Bianco, that's it. So hopefully they will grow into things that are a bit like a baked bean, and I can store them over the winter. Another idea here is, again like we had the squash, I'm going to grow it around the bed to try and shade the actual roots of the plants. Well, hopefully that's given you a few ideas to have a go at. I'll see you next time. Bye!